Welcome to a fresh approach for the beginning percussion class. This is lesson number 3 for the keyboard percussion instruments. In this lesson, I'm going to teach you a couple of new notes, and we're going to work on our chromatic scale. We're going to add a chromatic scale exercise to our list of daily warm-ups. And then we'll do some speed reading, but really it's about learning how to read music quicker. So let's start off with our daily warm-up. Every single day you should be doing at least 4 to 5 minutes on the snare drum, 4 to 5 minutes on the keyboard. There is a video that you can just play along with that has the exercises for the tempos that you need to work for this lesson. So I really encourage you to go to that video, play along with it on snare drum, play along with it on keyboard separately. Okay? I really encourage you to play on the keyboard because getting used to the feel of the mallets and a piston stroke versus a rebound stroke on the snare drum on a practice pad is very important to get that feel difference. And also, as you're playing on the keyboard, right, we got a keyboard, a marimba right here, xylophone, bell set, whichever, just getting used to really focusing in on the sweet spot on your F and your C that you learn, and then also making sure that you're making that really nice rebound stroke that has that really great sound to it. So in this lesson, we are doing our 8-4-2-1 exercise, and we're doing it at 140. So let's just do that real quick. So I'm thinking every stroke is up, 8, 8, 4, 4, 4, 4, 2, 2, 2, 2, 2, 1, 1, 1, 1. Here we go. 1, 2, and 1, 2, ready, go. 6, 7, 8. Big strokes. Now twos. Now ones. Okay, now when you're going at this speed, the ones, okay, when you're playing eights, it's a pretty much a constant motion on the up and the down, okay? So you don't really have to worry about bringing your mallet back up. All you have to do is think about that space that you have between the heel of the hand and the back fingers, and then making sure that the mallet's coming up every time. When you get to the ones, then you almost have to think of the piston stroke of down, up, and bringing it up every single time. Okay? So working on that exercise at 140. If you play along with the daily warm-ups, 140, 160, 180, 200 is our top tempo. And we'll get to that in a second. The other exercise or scale pattern that you're going to work on is the C 5-note scale. So all I'm doing with the C 5-note scale is playing C, D, E, F, G, back down a couple of times. All right, let's do that at 140. Okay, now you should have that same up stroke on every single note the same way you did on 8-4-2-1. 1, 2, and 1, 2, ready, go. Right in the sweet spot on every single stroke. Stop right there. Now you can do that a few times, okay? You can start it on your right hand or you can start it on your left hand. As you're doing that, remember you don't have to think of the mallets as being one on top of the other, all right? Because that kind of makes your stroke a little weird because now I'm way out here, all right? I just want the piston stroke, when one goes up, the other comes down, okay? So it's always getting out of the way of each other, all right? And then the exercise new exercise that you're learning on lesson number 3 is the chromatic scale exercise. So we learned the chromatic scale in our last lesson. It's basically where I'm playing a C and I'm going up by half steps on every single note from the bottom all the way up to the top on C. So I want to make sure that I'm striking as I'm moving from the natural, playing in the center. Then I'm moving my arm forward, playing the accidental in the center, back and forth. Now, there is no accidental between the note E and F, so that is a half step. And then there's no accidental between the B and the C. So as I'm moving up, first with my right hand, and then I come right back down to scale. All right, every single stroke, you try to make this motion of your forearm as you're moving that back and forth really nice and smooth too, right? We don't have to make sure. Nothing is jerky. Everything is really nice and relaxed. So let's play the C chromatic scale on our right hand up and down at 142. Now, 140 is the tempo of the snare drum. Double, paradiddle, dub. We're really at half of that speed. So we're thinking. So really I could write half notes here. But let's play this exercise, the chromatic scale. Every other stroke is with the metronome. 1, 2, set and go, and. Hit right in the sweet spot on every single note. Back down. All right, so as you're playing this along with the snare drum part will be playing at 140. One, double, paradiddle, double, or paradiddle diddles. Then you're playing half of that speed. All right, so as you're playing each stroke, making sure that you're thinking in that quick down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up. Let's try it on the left hand. And 1, 2, set and go, and down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up. Back down. All right, so listen to the sound of every single stroke to make sure that you're getting a nice quality sound, all right? Remember, the idea is that it's like playing in the palm of your hand. Okay, if you can do this, then you can make a really great sound on your keyboard. If you can't do this without hurting yourself, then you're playing too loud, okay? Or playing with too much velocity. Now, the third part of the exercise, first part on the right hand, you're playing with the snare drum double paradiddle. The second part, you're playing it on the left hand with the right-handed paradiddle diddle in the snare drum. And then we play it alternating. Now this takes a little bit of skill because one hand is on the naturals and one hand is on the accidentals. So I kind of start off looking like this, where my left hand is up, my right hand is a little bit back. Now, once I get to the E, I have to shift because the left hand plays the F. So watch this again. C, shift, and then the right hand goes to the accidentals, okay, until I get to the top. So let's play just C up to F. 1, 2, ready, go. Shift, and then the right hand will play that F sharp. Let's try that one more time. 1, 2, ready, go. Shift. Now when I keep going, so the right hand will go from that B flat up to the C. All right? So you see how that worked? Now, as you come back down, you just leave your left hand in that position. Then when you get to the F and the E, you switch again. Your left hand goes to these two accidentals. All right, let's try that together very slowly. All right, we'll not even do it with a metronome. I just want you to get that shift from E to F. The right hand on the accidentals plays the C, back down, switch when you get to the E and the F. All right, 1, 2, ready, go. C, D, E, switch. Reach up to the C with the right hand, back down. Now switch. All right, so it's getting that switch there, and then when you get to the C, your right hand just moves up and then right back down. All right, let's try that with a metronome at 140. It's actually half notes, so it's really 70, right? 1, 2, ready, and go, and. Reach up with a C, back down, left hand on the naturals, right hand on the accidentals. Switch. All right, so that might take just a little bit of working out, okay? And we also want to make sure that when one hand is playing in the center of the bar, the other on the accidental is playing in the center of the bar as well, all right? So work that out. Now, I want to teach you, before we get off of the chromatic scale, I want to teach you another accidental. In our last lesson on lesson number 2, we learned that any note, any natural note down a half step is called a flat. All right? So if I have B, if I'm here, C, D, E, F, G, A, B, if I'm at B and I go down a half step, that is called B flat. If I'm on A and I go down a half step, that is A flat. If I'm on G and I go down a half step, it's G flat. Now F and E, generally we just say F, E. We don't say F, F flat. We say F, E, E flat. All right? So I can name the notes of the chromatic scale going down using my flats. So let's take this for a second. I want you to think of starting at the top C, and we're going to name notes as we go down. So if it's on the bottom register here, we're going to say just the note name. If you go to the accidentals is when you're going to use the flat note name. First note is C. Now, since there's no accidental between C and B, the next note on the lower register is B. Now I start using my flat signs. B flat, A flat, G, G flat, F, okay? No accidental here, so I say E. Not F flat, but E, E flat, D, D flat, C. So see if you can say those note names with me. Ready? Go. C, B, B flat, A flat, G, G flat, F, E, E flat, D, D flat, C. So not only am I using the musical alphabet, okay, C, B, A, G, F, E, D, C, I'm going backwards because I'm going down the scale, but I also have to know that whenever I use the accidentals, I have to say the flat note name. One more time. C, B, B flat, A flat, G, G flat, F, E, E flat, D, D flat, C. All right, this becomes really important to know your note names. All right, so if you're playing this exercise with your right hand, then as you're going down the scale, you can say C, B, B flat, A flat, G, G flat, F, E, D, all the way through. Now, that only applies to going down the scale. We learned that in the last lesson, that a flat sign lowers the note a half step. The symbol that we use to raise a note a half step is called a sharp sign. And a sharp sign just looks like a little tic-tac-toe. So if I'm on C and I want to go up a half step, I call that note C sharp. If I'm on D and I go up a half step, that is D sharp. Now, if you'll see, if you look at the little keyboard, and I'll picture it here from your book, you'll notice that these accidentals have two note names. Okay? On the way up, we call them sharps. On the way down, we call them flats. Those two note names that are the same pitch are called enharmonic tones. And I kind of talked about that last lesson because F down a half step is F flat, but it's also E. That is called an enharmonic tone. All right? Same thing applies when you're going up. If I get to E and I want to go up a half step, it's E sharp, but we don't really call it that. We call it an F. All right? And B up a half step is a C. So you could, all right, this would take a little bit of time, say the note names going up: C, C sharp, D, D sharp, E, F, okay, not E sharp. So I'm on F, F sharp, G, G sharp, A sharp, B, C. And then say the flat notes going down: B, B flat, A flat, G, G flat, E, E flat, D, D flat, C. All right, so just so you know that a sharp sign raises a pitch by a half step, a flat sign lowers a pitch by a half step. Okay, so let's play this whole exercise one more time. We're going to alternate. I'm going to say the note names. If you're really good, you may be able to say the note names with me. But let's play it. I'm going to alternate my strokes. Remember, when I get to the E and F, I'm going to shift from the left hand playing those accidentals to the right hand playing those accidentals. 1, 2, ready, and go. C, C sharp, D, D sharp, E, F, F sharp, G, G sharp, A sharp, B. Now flat signs on the way down: B flat, A flat, G, G flat, F, E flat, D, D flat, C. All right, now it's not necessary that you do that. For right now, I just want you to hit all the correct notes and use your alternating sticking as you're going up. You could start on your left hand if you'd like. All right, it's going to have to be when you get to the top, your left hand plays the 3 accidentals and your right hand plays the 2. All right, so either one of those, but if you can start recognizing those note names, that will help you when we're learning to read musical notes on the staff. All right, let's go ahead and move up to 200 beats per minute. We're going to do all of those exercises again. All right, just at this top tempo, I really want to think of pretty quickly flicking the wrist on each one of those piston strokes. So you're going to have a nice constant motion here, but you're always going to feel that shaft of the mallet just bouncing back and forth between the heel of the hand and the back fingers. So 8, 4, 2, 1, here we go. It's pretty quick. 1, 2, ready, and go. 4, 2, all right, so 8s kind of requires a little bit of energy. You gotta do that motion pretty quickly. Depending on how heavy your mallets are, might take a little bit of muscle to get that. But do not squeeze those back fingers. And then when you get to the 1s, now we're almost at a consistent motion between the hands, but we want to make sure that those strokes are nice and even. And then we do our C 5-note scale at 200. 1, 2, set, and go. Okay, at that speed, it's just nice and relaxed. I'm just playing alternating strokes, and I'm just moving up and down the keys, all right? This is teaching you that kinesthetic feel of what it feels like to play right in the center of every single bar. Now it changes just a little bit when we go up to here. Changes a little bit more when when the notes start getting smaller and smaller. And bigger requires a little bit more space between the notes, but you kind of get the feel of that the more that we play these exercises. Then our chromatic scale, all right, really kind of thinking halftime here with the right hand. 1, 2, set and go. So what we're getting used to is that nice relaxed feel of moving the arm back and forth. Let's try it with your left hand. 1, 2, set and go. Now if you can do that and say the note names, then you're really doing well. Alternating. 1, 2, set and go. Switch. Okay, and you certainly can do that on the left, starting on the left hand. And that's what we're working towards, eventually being able to play fast chromatic scales. Okay, let's go through the music reading exercises of lesson number 3. If you look at line number 1, we're still only using the 2 notes that we used previously, which is the E flat and the F. So first thing I want you to do, put down your mallets. We're going to finger through and say the note names. Now remember, we learned on the snare drum lesson that a half note gets 2 counts. So whenever you have a half note, think of half note on each one of them. Let's try that whole line, saying the note names and fingering through. 1, 2, ready, go. F, rest, E flat, E flat, F, E flat, F, rest, E flat. So I'm saying E flat, which is 2 counts. Can't say half note and E flat. All right, either one of them counts, or 2 counts. All right, I'm alternating. You can put your left hand on E flat, your right hand on F, but I like to be able to get used to moving back and forth. Now, the second thing that we did when we were talking about how to work up a line is first saying the note names, getting that correct, touching the keys. The second thing is just taking the notes that you have in a song and just getting used to moving back and forth. Just to get that feel, what it feels like to move back and forth. You can try that staring at the notes, and you could try it just looking away. All right, that's that using your peripheral vision. All right, you want to stare in front of you where you can kind of see the notes without staring directly at them. Then the third step is going through and playing this. I won't use a metronome. Let's just play it while we say the note names. All right, this is only 2 notes, so it should not be that difficult. 1, 2, set, go. F, rest, E flat, E flat, F, E flat, F, rest, E flat. Now, I did not write in the stickings, so it really doesn't matter what sticking you use. Just any, whatever feels right. You can use double stickings. Doesn't really matter at this point. I'm just trying to make sure that I'm hitting right in the center of the bar on every stroke. And that, of course, I'm hitting the right notes. Let's try that line one more time. Here we go. 1, 2, ready, go. F, rest, F, rest, E flat, E flat, F, F, E flat, F, rest, E flat. Okay, 2 counts on the E flat. All right, so try to keep your eyes on the music. Try not to look at your hands. All right, I used to have a test in my classes, which was if every time that you look down at your hands, I counted off 5 points. If you missed a note, I counted off 2 points. So being able to play it without making a mistake is one thing, but being able to play it by looking at your music is the goal. So we want to make sure that you keep your eyes on the music. All right, if you look at line number 2, we're going to add a new note. So we know where F is, E flat. We're just going to go up the next note, which is the note G. So F, G, F, E flat. All right, so G is the second line of the treble staff. So we're going to work through this line using our fingers, all right, touching the keys. What is your time signature? We are in 3/4 times. So there's 3 beats to a measure, then you'll have a bar line. So the very first measure is G, rest, G, G, half, rest. When I get to the third measure, it's still on G. I still have that line that goes through my half note, but now half note, 3, 1, rest. 3, 1, 2, rest. 1, 2, 3. So the whole line is just on one note. All right, we didn't really have to finger through that, but sometimes it's helpful just to find that, keeping your eyes on the music. Let's go through the entire line saying the note name. no note names, name. Ready? They're all G's, but we got to do it with the right note values. 1, 2, ready, go. G, rest. G, G, half, rest. G, 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 rest. G, 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 rest. G, rest. So whenever you have a half note, it's good just to elongate whatever you're saying. G. Remember, half notes get 2 counts. All right, then I don't really have to do the second stage, which is playing around. I guess you could if you wanted to make a song out of the note G, but make sure that your keyboard music is directly in front of the note G, all right, as low as you can get it without touching the accidentals, and then stand directly in front of the G. So let's try that whole line. I'm going to go kind of a medium 80 beats per minute and play that line. And 1, 2, ready, go. Rest. Half, rest. Half note. Rest. Rest, half note, rest. All right? Didn't really have to say the note names because it's all G. You get the idea. So practice that, just making sure that even though I've got all these things I'm thinking about, that you're still doing your piston stroke and you're still hitting in the center of the bar. All right, a hot cross buns. Woohoo, our first song. So now we have 3 notes. We have G, we have F, and we have E flat. So we're going to see that E flat will always have that flat sign. It's on the bottom line of the staff. F is on that first space. G is on the second line. E, G, every good with the F in between. So let's touch the keys. Let's say the note names. Very slow. Ready, go. G, F, E flat. Next measure, G, F, E flat, rest. E flat, F, F, G, F, E flat. All right? So it really kind of just moves back and forth between the G, F, E flat, G, F, E flat. Okay? Now this is an example of a song that's so easy that everybody knows that you could memorize it. All right, but I don't want you to memorize. I really don't. I want you to read the music. I want you to focus on keeping your eyes on the music. I put it at the bottom of the page on purpose because I wanted it as close to the notes that we're playing as possible. And I use these really huge notes, right? So that it makes it so easy to see. But focus on keeping your eyes on the music. Now let's do the second stage before we actually play the song. I want you to just find those three notes. And just play around with it. You could probably pick out some songs. And just play around with those three notes for a couple of seconds. You know, take 10 seconds and just practice moving back and forth. Then practice looking away and doing those same three notes. Okay, you might hit a wrong note occasionally, but that's okay because you're developing that kinesthetic feel for being able to sense where the keys are without looking directly at them, and then using your peripheral vision. All right, let's see if we can play all the way through this line or this song using alternating strokes. Here we go. And 1, 2, very slowly, go. G, F, E flat, G, F, E flat, rest. E flat, F, F, G, F, E flat. All right, you probably have already memorized it, and you're probably already looking at your hands. I really encourage you, if you're going to do this as a test, I would make looking down at your hands 5 points, playing a wrong note 2 points. Even if you kind of miss the F a little bit and play an E natural, that's okay, as long as you're focusing on reading the music and not memorizing. All right, so if you've gotten the chromatic scale down, you'll understand the whole concepts of sharps going up, flats going down. You work through your daily warm-up every single day, right? And you've gotten through these first 3 reading lines, you're ready to move on to the next lesson.